Hey there, it's your host Dan. We're up to part 19 of the C4 front end collision repair I'm doing myself, DIY. And today I've got to fix, there's about a half a dozen or so chips in the edge of the hood. Here's one right here on the edge of the headlight. There's another one right here. There's also one right here at the very edge of the hood. This one should be about the easiest to fix because I should just be able to go over the top of it with a spreader. That one shouldn't be too bad. I've also got one right here on the fender. I caused this one by accident with the little palm sander. I must not have been watching the back edge and it kind of dug two little divots, but still, a quick pass over that will cover that up. And then here on the back side of the headlight, it's going to be a little interesting to fill that too, because if you think of the hood as like an Oreo cookie with like no filling, the two halves are kind of sandwiched together, and the outside half makes like a 90-degree hard right angle, which makes the headlight opening. And then here on the back side, there's a little bit of a gap between that and the other panel it sandwiches to. So if I start applying filler, it's just going to start packing that gap. So I'm going to have to get a little creative on how I'm going to want to fill this. Now the hood normally has an edge on it, and I say normally because this hood, probably from its previous owner, had wide tires or something, and you can see where the white line comes in. I've sanded that with some 60 grit. It comes down. The inner edge should be a 90-degree, and it's pretty much rubbed that down to about a 45-degree angle right to the outer edge, just gradually. You know, it gets worse towards the middle where it's pretty much a pure 45 across. So I've got to come up with a plan on how I'm going to put the filler on this area too, because I just don't want to start slapping it on here and having it go everywhere and be a pain in the ass, and, you know, be a pain in the ass to sand. But the idea is that the hood should have that consistent 3/16 or 1/4 inch edge all the way up, and that's what I'm going to try to fill in here. So to apply the fill in this area, this is the best thing I came up with. And you know, I'm not a body guy, just to let you know in advance. I'm just a DIYer doing it the best I can. Here's my idea. I took a straight edge and I cut it into an arc, and this will fit right in the edge of the wheel well. And this is going to allow me to pack in some of the fiberfill into the edge where it 45s towards the middle. I'm going to clamp this into place, and I'm going to think of this as like a mold. So I'm going to leave it and let it set and then break this away, and hopefully I should have a nice flat edge on the inside, and the sanding should be minimal. And for the chip here on the front edge of the hood, I took a paint stick and I cut it in a few pieces, and I found out that the width of it is about the width of that gap in the back. So I can use this to just about cover the inner edge. There's a little sliver there that it's not quite covering, but hey, that's okay. And if I were to use another piece and tack that on into place, now I have the same thing. I have kind of like a little mini mold going on. I have the inner edge defined and the back edge defined, so I can just kind of pack this area in, hopefully not apply too much of the filler, and hopefully not have too much sanding to do to get this to look like it never was there in the first place. Now I can't just put the wood backer in behind there and just start packing in the fiber fill, because that fiber fill will bond to this wood surface. There is a thing called mold release tape. I just don't have any. I don't want to spend whatever $20 to get a 25-yard roll of it or whatever it comes in when I only need like really an inch or two of it. So I'm kind of coming up with my own solution here. I've wrapped these shims in some packing tape to give them a nice smooth surface. This way the fill cannot sink into the wood. And really all I'm concerned about is that very skinny edge here up at the top and this edge right here. So I put them into place with the packing tape on there, and I put a little super glue in between them. So now these two are bonded together, and it gives me that right edge gap. And I'm going to use a rag with just a tiny amount of carnauba wax on it, and I'm going to just wax that little gap right in there, just so that, you know, it's not going to want to try to hold into place when the fiberfill sets, because I'm going to let it fully set into place, kind of like a mold, and then I'll just crack this off later when all's said and done, and hopefully I get a nice smooth edge out of it when all is said and done. Just winging it as I go. I'm not a body guy, once again. I'm just doing it the best way I would think I know how with what I've got on hand. And then I'll just apply a couple pieces of tape here to help hold it downwards to the hood. Here I've attached a clamp at either end of my, well, I don't want to call it a straight edge anymore, it's now a curved edge, but you get the idea. In the middle there, we're at about 45s, where it's all white. I mean, that's what I'm going to pack in, and this is about the best I can come up with so that the filler won't slop all over everywhere, and it'll be a lot easier and cleaner once I kind of pull this apart once it's all cured. Okay, so I'm going to mix up some filler. I'm going to be using the Evercoat Fiber-Tech. This works for fiberglass and also sheet molded compound, SMC. That's really what the hood of my car is made of. So I'm going to get some of this mixed up with their hardener and start applying it. I got that applied there along that edge. Couldn't film it because I have to work extremely fast, about 5 minutes, and that fiberglass is just starting to set and it's not workable anymore. But I have to be real quick and get it in that edge. I'm going to wait a little bit, and hopefully this is going to cure up and my little mold will just pop off the back and I got a nice clean edge. Here on the inside edge of the headlight, I've already applied that filler, taken my little backers out and sanded it down. It's pretty neat. I mean, I've got it pretty close. It's not perfect. I think there's going to need to be a little bit of a lightweight filler put over the top of it. And then up here, same thing, where that other gouge was in the hood. It's pretty close, but it's not perfect. I'm going to have to go over that with just a little bit of filler. That's all, but I'm pretty happy with the way the Fiber-Tech filled it in. And here's the end result on the hood edge after I sanded it. Hey, I got my edge back. I'm pretty happy. It's kind of tough a little bit in the sanding, but I got it pretty smooth. I've got it where I run my hand across it, I can't feel any bumps in it. And it's looking a lot better. So now after I've gotten this side done, I've got to go over and do the other side. But yeah, just when you fix the one chip, you find another one. There's a little one right here on the edge. That one will need to be filled too and sanded as well. And then here for that little chip, I'm just going to box it in with some tape. That way when I put on the Fiber-Tech, I'm not going out of bounds of where I don't need to be and create extra sanding. I filled in the edge here at the top, got that sanded down, and that's what I was talking about with how I wanted to box it in with the tape. I didn't do it on this one, and I kind of just ran the spreader across, and it got a lot around the area, which created a lot of extra sanding for me to do to kind of get it down and get it even again. So that's going to be my approach from now on. I'm going to kind of box it in where I want it to be. That way I don't get any spillage of the resin anywhere else on the hood. I'm getting the fiberfill packed in on the other side. It's been about an hour. It's had enough time to set up. So now I'm just going to move the tape I had holding in my little backer. And hopefully this thing's going to release. There we go. Here's the final on that edge. I used a little bit of spot putty there on the inner fender where the wheel had rubbed on it. But we got a nice 90-90 edge going all the way up. And it looks really good. All I have to do now is just shoot it with some of that magic paint. Take a look at the driver's side completed. This is right about where the repair area starts. I've got my inner edge restored here. Nice 90-degree angle on it. It's not fanned out at a 45 in the middle. Here's a look at it along the edge of it. And here's the passenger side. Not A1 perfect, but pretty close, you know. First time for me doing body work, so I can only get better at it. It's underneath the hood, and it's to the point where unless I pointed this out, I don't think anybody would notice it. Anybody would notice that, you know, it was damaged like it was. And to wrap it up, I just finished sanded my easy ones. One on the back side of the hood on both sides. Here's another easy one right here over the fender well. This is one I caused with the finish sander. But more importantly, the edge on that wheel well on the inside has now been restored. And same thing like the headlight door, I now have that edge going down all the way around, because if the door was in place for the headlight, there's a little bit of a gap between that and the hood, and you would definitely see those chips if those weren't repaired. So that's a wrap for now. Boy, I wish I had an easy one to do like that Bondo that was hiding under the old paint on the hood where it was on a nice flat spot. All the chips and edge repair I had to do was nothing but. It almost kind of looks like I'm right back to where I started, like not much got done. But I know stuff did get done, because now I can move forward with, you know, further working the hood and getting that ready for primer. So I hope you enjoyed the tips I have here for you, my little fiberglass madness edge repair. Hope you enjoyed watching the video, and as always, thanks for watching.